So we'll be covering the backend configuration in this session. So we're going to go through two main configurations which is required. The first one would be the eligibility configuration. So what happens here is, in this particular section, if you recall, we created leave groups. Let me show you them again. So in the earlier session, we created these leave groups. So these leave groups are again basically employees which have the same type of leave types. So we categorize these guys into leave groups. So we are going to define in the system how the system will automatically pick the people within these groups. So it would be easier for us to entitle leave in bulk. Okay. So after we have defined the groups, we have to do the configuration. So how we do that is, you can see these first two pages here, the module configuration and the eligibility configuration. So let's look at the module configuration page first. So here, once we open this, we have three main tabs. The first one is called group. So from under module, we have to select leave here because that is the module we are going to configure for. After we select leave, we give the group name. And another thing to note is, the group would be the main query, the template would be the subquery, and the template parameter would be the parameter. You will understand it in a bit. So under groups, I have created some sample ones here for expats, for outsource, for permanent. So basically these groups would be mapped to the leave group in this page, the leave group definition page. They will be mapped. So let me take permanent for example. What we give here is we give the group name and we have to give this query here. So this would be the main one. Select EMP number, that would be the employee number, from HSHR employee, and we have to give where. So if we run this query in the database, I have a DB here. It would just give all the employee numbers from the HSHR employee table, which is the main table. It would just display all the employee numbers. So this would be the main query when we are going to define the groups. Just to note that. So likewise, you'll have to create separate groups like this for each leave group that you defined in absence. So the next part will be template. So this would be the subquery. I created the sample one. It's called I created one called EMP type. So this here, what we give is we can give the template name, and then this would be subquery. So select EMP number from again SHR employee, which is the main table, where EMP type, and this would be the parameter which we define in the next page. Okay, and you give the field name here. You will understand this when I show you the next page. So once I move into template parameter, we have EMP type here again. So this would be the parameter. This would be the parameters that we give. So let me run this in the database and show you. So here we are selecting the type code and the description from the EMP type table. So here again you can see we are going to categorize the leave groups according to the EMP type, the description. So here we give the parameter name for this, and we have to give the SQL here. So you can define your own groups. So I have in this example, I have given from the EMP type table. If you want to categorize your leave groups with another table, you can do that as well. Say from the salary grade table, if you're creating the leave groups, you can do the same thing. Say if you're going to categorize your leave groups using salary grades, you can give this parameter there. So you would have to give the salary grade code and the salary grade name there. So in this case, we're doing it through the EMP type. So next we have to select if you're going to give it as a drop down and a string. So in this particular case, we'll give it as a drop down and string. So once we've defined that, we'll move into the eligibility configuration. So here automatically you will have your leave module selected here, and the groups which we created in the earlier page would be displayed here. So if we take permanent, for example, here you would see the parameter that we just now created, and if I select edit, you can see all those all the values from that table which we had given as a parameter would be loaded here. So from here we have to select what the for the group that we created, what would be the value that that we're going to select for the employees for that particular group. We give the name for that as well, and we click on save. So for a new, if we select a new group, it would be displayed like this. So we select the parameter here, what we define. We go for edit. And for this particular group, we can give what would the employees who would come there. And we can click on save. So after we have done that, we have to move into build expression. And that parameter which we saved will be appeared here. We just have to click, we have to just double click this here. It will come here. We click on check expression, then it checks if it's correct, and save it then. So if you want to see this in action, we'll have to go into the employee leave entitlements page. Before that, now we have to assign the leave group to the eligibility group as well. So from this leave types and groups configuration, which I explained the earlier day, this is where we assign what are the leave types for a particular leave group. So from this page as well, we can assign the eligibility group as well. So for this example, I'll take permanent staff. And here, as you can see, it will display what the eligibility group is. So from here, we'll select permanent. This is what we created. And you can entitle it. So now we can see when we move into employee leave entitlements, we'll select the year. We'll select the group permanent staff. We have this tick use this eligibility criteria. So once we tick this and click on the leave types we need to entitle, when we click get employees to entitle, here you would see automatically, as we assigned it earlier, the eligibility group would appear. When we click on search, using those queries we created earlier, all the relevant employees would only load in this section. So you can straight away entitle them. That is the purpose of creating eligibility groups.
Okay, then let's see how we can create a entitlement script for the leave groups that we have already created. When you go into leave types and you select a leave type, you can see there is an entitlement criteria for that leave type, particular leave type. So we are going to define that entitlement criteria against that leave type. To do that, we'll have to go to absence management, script editor. Here, they are here it is displayed that all the leave types, leave entitlement scripts already has been created in the base system. To create a new entitlement script, you will have to go to new, or to edit, you can just select leave entitlement script and click on edit. Here it is displayed the name of the entitlement script, which has to be exact as the script name we define here. Then you can give a description for that particular entitlement script. And here we have the parameters that has been already created in the system. They can be found in this table, HSSB FB dynamic parameter table. So all the parameters defined in here will be available for you to create the script here. When we go into the script, this is a VB script. You will first have to give the script name. Then you will have to define two variables, decimal output 1 and decimal output 2. Then you can give the your logic. The items starting with @ sign and ending with this @ sign is the parameters that you take from this dynamic parameter table. So here the logic is, if the join year is equal leave year, which means the current leave year, then the decimal output will be 0. For employees joining in this leave year, their entitlement will be 0. This decimal output 1 will return the entitlement value, and decimal output 2 will return the carry forward value, which will, if the leave types are carrying forward to the next year, you will have to assign this parameter. Then if the join year is equal to leave year, then the entitlement value will be 0. Else if join year equals 1 year less than the leave year, uh, and if the join month equal 1 or join month equal 2 or join month equal 3, that means the first quarter, then the entitlement value will be 14. Else if join month equal 4, 5 or 6 will be the second quarter, and that will be entitled 10. And for the join month 7, 8 and 9, entitlement will be 7. Likewise, for join month 10, 11 and 12, the entitlement will be 4. Else if there's a else if command, join year is lesser than the leave year and join year uh, is greater than 0. That means for the previous years, employees who joined in previous years, entitlement will be 14, and you will have to end the if commands and end the script. After creating this script, if you want to use another, should we take the questions? So if you want to use the new parameter, okay, we'll answer the questions at the end of this session. So we'll just go with the flow, and after the completion of the session, we'll answer the questions. If you want to take a new parameter, if you want to use another parameter, if you want to prorate the leave entitlement based on if it's the recruitment year, or if for the employees who has completed first year service months, and yeah, you can define your own logic using these parameters. You will just have to click on the parameter, then it will be added at the end of the script here. So you'll just to cut it and put where you want to put it in the script, where you while you generating the script. So after you have created the script, you can click on save, or you will have to validate first, otherwise it won't allow you to save. After the validation, it will allow you to save the script. And when you're creating the leave types, so that script you have created will be available here for the selection. If you look more into the dynamic parameter table, these are just select statements written using SQL. If you take one of these queries, and you will see that it retrieves the employee gender from employee master table, where employee number equals the employee number which will be passed from the system during the execution. If we run this, you will see that it is returning the employee gender value. It's a flag, so it's returning the value. So I think it's it. You can finish off. You can create your own scripts, own parameters for creating scripts. You will just have to write a insert command. You will have to create the select command, then write a insert command to this HSFB dynamic parameters table. You will have to define the parameter name like this, starting from @ sign and with no spaces in between and ending with @ sign. These first three parameters, they are coming with the base system defined in the code. Others just select commands created using SQL.
So are there any questions on those two sections?
Okay, let me go to this. Using $sign is the syntax in the VB scripts. Sorry. Oh, so when you are defining variables and using variables, you will have to use the $sign in front of the variable name. That's the syntax. What? No? You can use any proration method to prorate the leave entitlements. So if you want to prorate using calendar days, you can just write a select statement using the year and the days of the year. Then you have to save it as a dynamic parameter in the HSS FB dynamic parameter table. Say year, days of the year or likewise. Then after you inserted that parameter into this table, it will be appearing here. It will be appearing here, so you can use it in your script. No, you use $sign to declare variables. You use @ sign. This is used to take the parameter values from the that parameter table. So these are variables. These are parameters defined in the system.